our measurement of success and like what we like internally, like we built a newsletter internally to like basically tell people what was happening, like the experiments that were happening over in marketing and growth, so that we could get buy-in from the organization, right? Because like a lot of the times it's invisible. It's like, oh, we just found this new way, like, oh, if we do an event trigger deeper down in the funnel of like the sign up flow, and we send that data back to Google rather than this initial form submission, we actually get better quality, like lead quality, and a higher conversion rate on the people that our salespeople actually talk to and convince to use the platform. But like, you know, that's, nobody would ever know that it would exist unless you like talk about it. And so this is like this other thing that I learned from when you're like working, I worked in a marketing agency. It was like this like over communication of like, and also like this, like you're marketing to your client, right? Like when you sell ideas to people, like you're marketing to them, like where they are now and where they're going to be in the future. Like that's actually like what an agency is doing. And you have to do that same thing when you're an employee. And when you do that, you get so much leverage, right? Like we even like sat down and like my friend Kobe, who's still there, we would just like 10 minutes and just like talk, you know, here's like everything that kind of happened this week. And we do that and we just put it in public in like the internal Slack channel. And then, oh, it creates this clarity and visibility. There's all this movement that's happening. And then there's this like hype that builds around that as well. Like what's going on in growth, like that type of thing, right? So I think that that same idea can be applied to any part of an organization. Like if you're in CX or you're in, you know, like in the sales org or, you know, any of these other places, you can create almost this like internal newsletter within your company that's going to like help create clarity for everybody else. And this is very important, especially when you get to that kind of like those breaking point numbers of companies, right? When you hit 30 employees, things start to get weird because you can't know everybody in the organization. When you hit 100 employees, it's the same team. Makes sense, right? Like the best companies are good memo writers.
Yeah.
And it's that same idea. Well, let's flip the switch a little bit. Like what if it's just an internal podcast? Or what if it's a newsletter that and a podcast that's like, here's like, you know, here's the leadership of this part of the organization. And I mean, this is actually probably a company.
Well, that's like going to large. I was thinking
totally.
like how is this not a company? Like, you know,
exactly.
Every company would benefit from this, like over communication, understanding what other people are doing, like writing key takeaways and lessons learned. But the problem is everyone is so busy doing their job, and everyone's
100%.
worked to their bones. But if there was a company that came in, and
imagine every Friday and you called it like recap, right? Like all hands recap or something. And like you just interviewed the heads of growth at that like org and like all of their like, you know, their direct reports. Like, cool, what happened this week? And it was just like, you led the interview to uncover the interesting pieces, record that. I mean, you could do this in like Riverside or Zoom.
Yep.
And then you take that and you just create a transcript, have AI list the key insights, put like, you know, do some like light editing and then put that in public within the Slack channel. It's like, cool, here's our weekly recap. Like as a CEO, like, hell yeah, I would pay for that. I want to know what everybody's doing and what's happening, right? And if you're telling me that I can sit down on like my Saturday morning with my coffee or even my Sunday with my coffee, and I can listen to the recap from every org, like every org within my organization or my sub-org, like, and it takes me an hour of time to listen through those 10 minutes, or even if they're 5-minute episodes, like that would provide so much value to me. I think you could easily sell that for $5K plus a month to like startups that are getting to that weird point. So
I think it can even be like just voice notes. Like I would, you know,
100%.
Yeah, just send me, if it was even a Slack bot that was just like,
oh, super. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a Slack bot that like DMs me or Teams bot, and it's just like, hey Greg, it's, you know, there has to be a prompt. So would you learn this week one key story, whatever prompt. So there's a bank of prompts that change, and maybe you can have like, as the CEO, you can kind of play puppeteer a bit.
Tailor that.
Yeah, tailor it. Oh, today I want, you know, it was a really tough week this week, so like maybe let's do like wins for the week, and then everyone gets,
or like how's the morale of your staff, right?
Totally.
Like we're down 10% that like week over week or something.
Yeah.
Like how's everybody feeling? And then it's just like, okay, cool. Like that bubbles up and you suddenly get this qualitative feedback. And I think that this is like actually where AI is the most effective. It's like taking unstructured data and structuring it that's when the magic happens, right? Like, I don't care about generative AI from like nothing to something. It's way more interesting, like a headshot pro, where it takes a person and it like turns them into like this output that I'm looking to get created. Or I like with what we're doing at Swell, where it's like, okay, we take a webinar and we turn it into a blog post that's in like your tone, style, and voice of your brand. That's way more interesting than just like having AI write based off its general knowledge, or like having AI, you know, fabricate a person into existence, right? So,
damn, I knew we were gonna come up with like a $10 million a year business on the fly.
100%.
Dude.
I think you could do that